So today we're going to talk about getting more from Aldelo Express, and in doing so, how to create customers that just won't give up the software. Once they get this software applied to them in these ways, they're not going to go anywhere else. So what to do that, to how to properly apply it. Now, I mean properly apply the software. You're going to want to listen to your customer and listen to their needs. Identify those needs. Identify the problems that they're currently having, because they're having problems and their current POS may not be solving those problems. They may be just living with those problems until they can find something better, and maybe you're it. So identify the needs by listening to the customer, and then know your product well enough to apply it to solve those needs or to solve those problems. Know how you can make the product change. I think one of the terms that Jeff and I were using this week is that we would pervert the product or alter the product's intended use to then modify it to use for that particular customer and solve those problems. Because overall, business owners, they'll pay, and they'll pay well for a solution to their problems. If you can make their problems go away, then they're going to pay dearly. They'll love you for life. So what you want to do is create solutions. And you want to create solutions to their problems that are hard for your competitors to replace. So listen to the problem, find out what it is, apply the software. And if you can do that, you can solve that problem, then your competitor is going to have a real hard time coming in and taking your system out to put theirs in. Because that business owner is not going to give up the solution to that problem once you have it installed. Kind of puts you in a good driver's seat. So let's look at some of the problems that we have been able to solve with Aldelo Express that aren't necessarily your traditional uses for the product. I'm going to identify the problem, and then we're going to then show you the solution. So first up, the problem is the owner or manager, they want access to the software from anywhere. They want access to the back office from anywhere they are without a computer or tablet, which means they're probably going to want just on their phone. So how can they use that? How can they get an application or a way of getting to the software, the back office, only from their phone? No PC, no tablet. They want to be the ability to perform all the functions when not in the restaurant, not just a few. They want to have access to everything from a remote location. The solution is simple. They're going to want a manager or owner phone app, right? Well, this is a picture of the solution on my own phone. You get the complete back office via any browser for your phone, tablet, or computer. So whatever device they have with them, wherever they are, if they can get an internet connection, get on the browser, on the network, on the internet, then they can definitely log into their back office and have every function available to them. Everything, 100% is available through the phone, if you will. No app to download. So we're not like our competitors where they force them to purchase an app. This is simply the browser-based back office on their phone. It's no cost to access, so there's no cost for this feature. All they do is simply enter my.aldelo.express into any browser on any device, and they're going to get the back office. The screen will then adjust to whatever size they have on their device, whether it's a phone, one of those new fold-out phones, or a tablet or a PC. No matter what brand, what operating system, doesn't matter. All they do is log into my.aldelo.express, enter the username and password, and they have full access to the system. Not like our competitor that are limited in scope, limited in features. A lot of those apps don't give them full access. It only gives them very limited access to a few of the features. This gives them full access. And that most sad thing is, for that restricted access, those apps cost. They're extra money. So they have to pay for those. So with us, no charge and full access. That's the solution to that problem. All right, the next problem we've identified is the ability to reserve a time slot, a chair, a table, or other revenue producing item, to reserve it for that time. This is a solution not just for restaurants. We take the reservation system and then we change the use of it, keeping the core basics of it. For instance, salons and stylist chairs are one that we actually have a demo for. What you'll find is you can change the icons on the reservation table layout to be a chair, a stylist chair. You can change the logo to be a pool table that you can then reserve. Dart boards. And another one we came up with is really hot item right now are axe throwing shops. You can reserve the lane, the axe lane. Another benefit to this feature, another thing that you can do with this is you can then run tabs on that pool table, on that dart board, or on that axe throwing lane. So the tab can be for that lane, that tab can be for that pool table. To run that tab and then have it closed at the end of the time that it's being used. So not only do you reserve that revenue producer, you allow the tab to be run on that, and then to close that at the end of the night. It's a real good benefit for a reservation system, something that's going to be able to help you create an unstoppable feature for that restaurant or that axe throwing shop or pool hall, whatever. It's not a bad use. It's a good use of the reservation system. All right, the next problem we identify is employees forgetting to put things on the order. That is, forgetting to pack additional items for to-go orders, or having poor inventory control of non-food items. So they run out of containers, they run out of forks, spoons, knives, napkins, salt, pepper stuff. They run out of the extra things that go with that to-go order by not having it properly controlled in the online or in the inventory. So in this case, what we've done is we have a thing called tag along items. These are perfect. This is a perfect use of that feature, and that it reminds employees to add the accessories to the order. So this is going to remind the employee to add the accessories to the order. It will work with the inventory module in that it will deduct items from inventory for those forks and knives and spoons and napkins. It will deduct those from the inventory in the right amount. It can be a string of items. So you ring up one item and it rings up a string of items, several items by one key depression. Things like the sporks, the napkins, and the salt and pepper shakers or the packets. So all these can be done with a single depression. And if you're going to ring up 4, you can hit 4 and then the depression of the button, or you can just hit the button 4 times. But it's going to then show you 4 sporks, 4 napkins, 4 salt and pepper packets. So that will then properly deduct from inventory. All right, the next problem is selling too many seats in a section. Like for entertainment or a comedy club, you have a certain number of seats that are in that area, and you don't want to oversell that. So we found a solution to this problem. That is, you create an item countdown for that section. So you have an item that's going to be comedy club, and you have 140 seats. Every time you sell a seat, it decrements the inventory or decrements the item countdown to show you how many seats are left in that area. The system will track how many are left and display that on the button. And it then can be reset after each show. So when the show's over and they are cleared out that area, you can then reset that counter back to the 140 and prep for the next show. It's a real good use of that item countdown feature other than just daily specials. All right. Next problem is sales by section. You may have a restaurant owner who wants to know how many sales there are from the patio, how many sales they're getting from the pool, how many sales they're getting from the upstairs loft area. Just so say they want sales by section, or maybe even reporting by section. They want to know what's going on, not as a restaurant as a whole, but at each individual area of the restaurant. So in this case, maybe dine-in versus bar versus pool versus patio versus upstairs, 5 different areas. So what do? We have 5 order types. You name the order type by the section of the restaurant. And as an example, you take the drive-in or the drive-through order type and rename it as poolside. If you're at a fine dining restaurant, you probably don't have a drive-through. Therefore, you have an order type that's not being properly used. Well, simply rename that to the section of the restaurant that you want to track those sales for, and you're able to do that. You then just simply run the report by order type. This is a very good way of doing it. You're going to get item sales by section and by order type. You're going to get good reporting for that, and probably solve or give them an opportunity to get reporting that they cannot get from your competitor. The next one, the problem is liquor sales are not permitted outside the building or in certain sections. In some states, you have well, in all states, you have a liquor permit, but that liquor permit may only be for inside the restaurant. You're not going to be able to leave the premises, or you're not going to be able to sell that outside. In that case, you may want to have special pricing or special items by section. So some items are available in one section that are not available in another section. What you do, the solution is custom menus by section. Menus can be assigned to a specific order type. Well, then you've changed the name of that order type to be for that section. So now you have a menu that is only going to be for that section. So you follow me on this. You create a menu that's assigned to only that order type. Then that order type is renamed for the section of the restaurant. So now you have a restaurant menu that's only available in that section. So that could be for special items or eliminated items, things that are not available in other parts of the restaurant. Created use for assigning menus to an order type. Next up, next problem is difficulty in ringing complex orders. So complex order might mean it's customizable. It's just too difficult to do. Or maybe there are mistakes in the kitchen based upon these complex orders. The kitchen's not able to properly produce the item based upon the way the item is rung up. So maybe it's a difficult item to ring up. It's also very difficult for the kitchen to produce. Let's take a look at how you can solve that. What you're going to do is you're going to use the pizza module and rename it. Some of the ones we've seen used are, instead of pizza module, it's a Burrito Builder, a Margarita Builder, Sandwich Maker, Omelette Builder, and one that came up this week, we used it for a wine connoisseur. This was a fine dining restaurant that had the need to be able to ring up wines in a certain manner because they needed that the complexity was too much for their current system. So the pizza module was used for all of these. Let's get into how. So really, it's any situation where there are 3 choices that have to be made in order to ring the item. Now, these don't mean the toppings. For instance, like in pizza, you have the sizes, you have the crust, and then you have the sauce. That's how it's set up for a pizza builder. But each one of those columns can be renamed. The pizza module itself can be renamed so that when they're in the back office, they're not thinking pizza, they're thinking, I'm going to have an omelet builder. This is my own custom omelet builder. Imagine the look on the face of your competitor when they walk in and that restaurant owner says, do you have an omelet builder in your system? course they don't. But you can if you make it so. So let's take a look at how this works. We're going to start off with the Burrito Builder. So you can have 10 sizes of burritos. You can choose the tortilla type and maybe the sauce, red, queso, or special sauce for the house. Then you can add additional toppings. So the 3 columns would be the size, and then the tortilla, and then the sauce. And once you've chosen those 3, you have a burrito that you then can add the toppings or the included items on the next page. These, of course, these toppings can be charged or not charged. They can be double, single, triple. So you have all those features that are in the builder that allow them to then really customize that item and upcharge where needed. This is a really good way of using the pizza builder in a place that needs something different. How about Omelette Builder? You still have the 10 sizes, egg type, and cheese. Additional toppings would be on the next page. So the first column would be the size, 2 or 3 egg, or whatever size omelet they're going to have. Then whole whites, and then cheddar cheese, the cheddar, mozzarella, blend cheese, whatever cheese they're going to add. And then the toppings will be on the next page. How about a sandwich maker? Still got the 10 sizes. You get the bread type, second column, and maybe the meats in the third. So here you go. Sizes, breads, meats. That gets you your basic sandwich. And at that point, additional toppings can be added on the next page. And this is the new one. So this one's going to change up a little bit. It's called the wine connoisseur. So we didn't do the sizes first. We did the types of wine. Then we did brands. And then the third column was sizes. Of course, there's no toppings for the next page. But this is what we did. The first column would be the types of wine. Then we would list the brands. I didn't list them here, but this is where you would list the different brands. And then finally, the size: glass, half carafe, or bottle. This really worked out well for the customer. This allowed them to be very customizing, but with easy to follow keystrokes to ring up those wines. So are there other problems that can be solved? Yeah, absolutely. But you have to listen. You have to listen to what that customer, they need. What problems are they encountering? You have to uncover that when you're making your visit with the customer. You have to ask the questions, find out what their needs are, and then simply apply the software to solve the problem. Now, if you find a problem that they are having that you cannot adjust the software or modify the software or use what's there, give us a call. We have the expertise on staff to help you adjust the software, find that little remote secret feature that you don't know about that can solve their problems. Easily done. But you just have to ask the questions. You do the discovery, and we'll help you solve it. All right, questions. And oh, by the way, we had a blast putting this one together, coming up with all the different twisted ways that you can use the software to solve those individual problems that come up. Jeff, I've seen activity in the chat. What are some of the ones we need to bring up?
So we have people, especially with the, changing the pizza builder to use, people really asking, can you have different prices for each output? And yeah, each individual item is its own individual item with its own price and its own stuff. So you can absolutely do that.
Beauty of it is it's very dynamic. As you're pushing those individual columns there, it's selecting a size, it's selecting a bread type or whatever. It's giving you 3 choices that then create the base item for you to go to the next page to then do the adding of the modifiers, which then adjust the price even more. So yeah, it adjusts the price based upon those first three selections and then the modifiers.
And Tony was looking to see, can we have more than one pizza builder? And I've never really run into a situation ever where somebody needs more than one type of builder. Usually they really only have one particularly complex group that they need to do something like that with. If I had multiples, I would probably go in and use the matrix. That
Right.
makes it a lot easier to build a lot of items really, really fast with a similar concept and a slightly different workflow, but a very similar concept of how does this work. But typically like in a sandwich shop, it's the sandwiches that are complex item. If you're doing a wine bar, well, it's the wine that's actually the complex item. So it's really not, you're not doing this for an entire bar setup typically, because it's not everything in the bar that's a very complex setup. But this takes your complex thing and turns it into something to do very easily.
We've covered the matrix in multiple different videos, and it does work well. This is just matrix on steroids. This is a better flow in some of those cases, but it uses a lot of the same logic.
So Doug is looking to see, can you reserve, and this really comes down to the real question is, can you reserve anything? Anything that you want to make an object in the table selection thing, you can reserve. So you can make reservations for, it doesn't really matter. It's just an object.
Yeah.
We typically refer to them as tables because that's tends to be the way they're used, but they are just objects.
That's it.
So regardless if that's a bowling lane, is that a TV, like in the case you're looking at, is that a table that they're going to be viewing it from? Is that a pool table? They can do all that. That's not a problem. It's just an object. And the nice part is that object, you can give it a picture, you can give it a number, you can keep track of it, it will be in your reports. So you can do all that.
You just change the picture of the icon for that device, whatever that object is. You're going to change the picture to be a pool table, maybe an axe. If you're going to do an axe throwing lane, those are real popular now. There's just no limit to what you can reserve. It's just other your imagination. And it can be in the same place. You can have tables, you can have bar stools, and you can have pool tables all in the same restaurant on different layouts. Remember, there's no limit to the number of sections that you can have in that restaurant, and each section can have its own layout with its own pictures and icons.
So Doug's looking to see how we can change this information on the cloud. So Doug, we actually have videos on this on our YouTube channel. So a lot of the things that Jerry's covering today, we actually have, how to go set up your table selections, how to go create your matrix, how to do tag-alongs. There's a great number of these videos on our YouTube channel. And unfortunately, because of time, that's just not our focus today. But we do have a lot of those videos there. And if you want, in-person things, we do have trainings and stuff with Lex and Rodney. On the fly, you can call our tech support group and they can walk you through things oftentimes. So there's a lot of resources there, but it's not something we're going to go into today in this training.
I knew that pizza module modification or twisting of that feature would be a popular one because that is so powerful. Doug's asking, do I have to turn on any features? Let me do some assumptions here. Assumption is you're talking about the table reservation, and there is some features to turn on to activate or turn on the reservation system. They are back office functions. So yes, generally, if you set up during the walkthrough and the initial restaurant, if you're checking the box that you're doing a table service restaurant, it's going to turn those flags on for you. But if not, you can go into the back office, into the different order types, and you can then select those features there. Oh, okay. Joe, that's a good question. For a bar and with cocktails, is it matrix or pizza?
So for a bar, I would do a matrix.
Yeah.
Personal choice. There's really no right or wrong answer there. But I would do a matrix. And the reason I would do a matrix is because going back and changing your prices at a later date which happens all the time in restaurants, gives you a lot more flexibility in that price change option. So I could literally change it in one spot, rebuild my matrix, and boom, all my prices are changed. But you can also use the advanced pricing to change groups of items as well. There's multiple ways to that endpoint. But I would use the matrix. It would be a great place to do bars, and that is one of the things our team uses it for quite extensively.
And I second that. I would actually use the matrix as well. I like it for particularly beers.
Yeah.
Those custom beer, especially all those brews, home brews, and those locally
micro brews, and
micro brews. That's the term I'm looking for. Those I definitely would use a matrix for those.
Yeah.